In the village of Ogwashi, there lived a girl named Amake. She was ugly. Not small ugly, serious ugly. In fact, she was so ugly that when she walked down the village path, children would scatter like chickens being chased by a dog. Mothers would grab their babies and cross to the other side of the road, as if ugliness was something you could catch like a cold. The village people had no shame. They would point at her and laugh so loud you'd think she was performing a comedy show. "There goes Amake," they'd shout. "Hide your eyes before they fall out." Even the goats seemed to judge her with their sideways stares. Amake had no friends, not even a small child who felt sorry for her. She was lonelier than a single yam in an empty pot. Soon, the maidens of the village began securing suitors. Every evening, young men gathered under the big mango tree, discussing bride price and marriage plans. Laughter filled the air, as each maiden stood proudly beside her chosen man, while Amake stood in the shadows like a forgotten broom in the corner. But there was someone Amake secretly loved. His name was Chide. Chide was a tall man in his 30s, very quiet, always looking like he was thinking deep thoughts. Amake liked him because he had helped her twice. Once, when she filled her water pot at the stream and couldn't lift it onto her head, he helped her. The second time, when she was struggling with a mountain of firewood that could crush a donkey, he carried it all the way to her house. Surely, in Amake's heart, those small kindnesses meant love. Maybe he's just too shy to say it. So she decided to make the first move. Amake began to cook for him. Rich soups with the best palm oil, pounded yam so smooth it was like silk, pepper soup so perfect it could make a sick man dance. She would carry these meals to his house in covered pots, her heart pounding with hope each time. She would fetch water for him without being asked, bringing fresh, cool water from the deepest part of the stream. She even began washing his clothes at the riverside, scrubbing them clean and laying them on the rocks to dry in the sun. And Chide? He accepted everything with a smile. "Thank you, Amake," he would say, and her heart would soar. Chide loved the attention, but did he love Amake? Not even a little bit. In fact, he would sit with his friends under the palm wine shed and brag like a proud rooster. "That ugly girl Amake, she's like my slave. I can get whatever I want from her. She's wrapped around my finger like a piece of string." His friends would laugh out loud, slapping their knees and spilling their drinks. The day of the great gathering finally arrived. The day when all the young couples would stand together under the mango tree and publicly declare their intentions. It was the most important ceremony of the season, the moment when private courtships became public promises. The village square was transformed. Women had swept the ground clean and decorated the mango tree with fresh palm fronds and flowers. The air smelt of burning incense and perfumed oils. Musicians gathered with their drums and flutes, ready to play songs of celebration. One by one, the couples began to arrive. Each young man would walk to the center of the square with his chosen maiden, and the crowd would cheer and ululate. The girl's family would come forward to formally acknowledge the union, and the boy's family would present the first part of the bride price, usually a goat or several tubers of yam. The atmosphere was joyful, almost magical. Girls blushed as their men held their hands. Mothers wept with happiness. Fathers stood tall, proud that their daughters had been chosen. Amake hadn't planned to go. The pain would be too much, she knew. But something drew her there. Perhaps hope, maybe foolishness, or just the desperate need to feel like she was part of something, even if only as an observer. She stood far at the edge of the square, hidden partially behind a compound wall, watching. Then she saw something that made her heart drop into her stomach like a heavy stone. There was Chide, standing tall and proud, holding the waist of Ngozi, the girl who thinks she is more special than everyone. He was gripping her waist like his life depended on it, grinning like a fool. Amake's legs moved on their own. She marched right up to him, her heart pounding. "Chide, why are you cheating on me?" The entire village square went silent. Then Chide threw his head back and laughed so hard he almost choked. "Ha! Cheating on you? Were we ever together? Which man in his right mind would be with an ugly duckling like you? You are the one who kept throwing yourself at me like a desperate fly. You are not even close to my level." The whole crowd exploded with laughter. Ngozi stepped forward, flipping her long braids dramatically. Did this ugly thing actually think she mattered? With that face? She cackled like a witch. The laughter grew louder. Young men pointed at her, their faces red with amusement. Some of the girls who had always ignored her were whispering behind their hands, their eyes gleaming with cruel satisfaction. She thought she had a chance. Imagine being that delusional. Poor thing, living in a dream world. Amake felt something break inside her chest, something that had been barely holding on all these years. Tears began streaming down her face, hot and unstoppable. She tried to speak, to defend herself, to say something, anything, but her throat had closed up. The humiliation was suffocating her. Heartbroken and humiliated, Amake ran. She ran past the laughing crowd, past the decorated mango tree, past the village compound. She ran until her lungs burned and her legs felt like they would give out, until she reached the one place where no human was ever supposed to go, the ancient Iroko tree. The villagers avoided this place. There were stories about the tree, stories of spirits who lived inside it, spirits who could grant wishes but always demanded a terrible price. Children were warned never to play near it. Adults would make signs of protection when they passed by. But Amake didn't care anymore. She collapsed at the base of the giant tree, her body shaking with sobs so violent they hurt. She pressed her face against the rough bark and cried like she had never cried before. Loud, ugly, desperate crying that came from the depths of her soul. "Why?" she screamed at the tree, at the gods, at the universe itself. "Why did you make me like this? What did I do to deserve this life? Why does everyone hate me? Why can't anyone love me? I just wanted to be loved. Is that too much to ask? I just wanted one person, just one, to look at me and see something worth loving." She pounded her fists against the ground. "You are wicked, all of you. The gods are cruel and cruel for creating me this way and then putting me in a world that hates me for existing." Suddenly, the tree began to glow with a strange golden light. A deep, ancient voice spoke from within the trunk. "We have heard your pain, child. Make one wish, any wish you desire." Amake didn't even think. She jumped up and shouted, "I wish to be more beautiful than any lady in this village." "Your wish is granted," the voice boomed, "but there is a condition. Any man who lies with you will become useless to himself and the village." Amake thought about this for exactly 2 seconds. Perfect. That would teach them a lesson. The tree's trunk opened like a giant mouth, swallowed her whole, and spat her back out. When Amake looked at her reflection in the stream, she gasped. She was gorgeous. Her skin glowed like honey. Her waist was so perfectly curved that even the gods would stop and stare. Her eyes sparkled like stars. She ran home as fast as her beautiful new legs could carry her. The next morning, Amake stood in front of her house, sweeping her compound like it was a normal day. A young boy whose mother had sent him to fetch water came walking down the path. When he saw Amake, he dropped his clay pot, screamed like he'd seen a ghost, and ran back to the village faster than a rabbit being chased by a leopard. "Amake is beautiful," he screamed to everyone. "She is more beautiful than the morning sun." By evening, the news had spread like wildfire. Young men started sneaking around her house, hiding behind trees and bushes just to catch a glimpse of her. When Amake went to the stream to fetch water, she found herself surrounded by men. Men who claimed they also needed water even though they had no pots, men who offered to carry her pot for her, men who suddenly discovered they needed to wash their faces or cool off or any excuse to be near her. At the market, everything changed. Traders who had always ignored her now called out, competing for her attention. "Beautiful sister, come buy from me." They offered her the best yams, the freshest fish, the ripest tomatoes, often refusing her money entirely. The village girls were furious. They gathered in secret meetings, whispering and hissing like angry snakes. "She made a deal with the devil," Ngozi declared, flipping her braids angrily. "Nobody becomes that beautiful overnight. It's witchcraft." Some girls tried to become Amake's friend, hoping she'd share her beauty secrets, but Amake had learned her lesson. She stayed alone. The young men started plotting on how to test her sweet mango to know if she is as sweet as she looks. Chidi thought to himself, "She has always loved me. Maybe she'll give me a chance." He spent the whole day following her like a stalker, hiding behind bushes and trees. That night, he couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned, thinking only of Amake. The next morning, he dressed in his finest cloth, grabbed a whole tuber of yam and some expensive dried bushmeat, and marched to her house. "Amake, I'm so sorry for what I did," he said, putting on his most pitiful face. "I loved you all along. That day at the mango tree, Ngozi forced me to stand with her. I didn't mean those terrible things I said. Please, let me show you how sorry I am." Amake looked at him and smiled a small, knowing smile. She took the yam and meat from his hands. "I'll think about it. Go home." Chidi practically flew home. He couldn't sleep that night, rolling around on his mat like a fish out of water. The next morning, he showed up at her door again, this time with vegetables he'd stolen from his own mother's farm. "What are you doing here so early?" when she opened the door. "Please, I can't stop thinking about you, not even for 1 second." Amake sighed and let him in. They slept together just once, and Chidi's brain immediately turned into porridge. The next day, Chidi was at Amake's house at dawn, washing her clothes. He swept her compound, he cooked her meals, he even weeded her entire farm without being asked. He followed her around like a loyal dog, praising her name every 5 minutes. "Amake is the sun, Amake is the moon, Amake is better than food," he would shout to anyone who would listen. Soon, other men couldn't resist. One by one, they came to her house. After spending just one night with her, they all lost their minds completely. Within a month, Amake had an entire army of men living at her compound. They cooked, cleaned, farmed, and sang her praises from morning till night. If she said jump, they would ask how high. If she said bark like a dog, they would bark until their throats hurt. Even the men who had just gotten married abandoned their new wives. "Our marriage wasn't blessed by the gods," they would shout as they ran to Amake's house, leaving their crying wives behind. The women of the village had had enough. They gathered one evening under the very same mango tree where they had made fun of Amake. They were angry, crying, and ready for war. "Return our husband, you witch!" they screamed as they marched to Amake's house, carrying sticks and stones. But before they could even reach the door, their own husbands came charging out and started beating them. "Don't you dare insult our queen," the men shouted, giving their wives hot slaps and painful blows. The women ran away, crying even harder than before. The women went straight to the king's palace, weeping and wailing. The king summoned Amake. She came calmly, with her army of useless men following her behind like baby dogs following their mother. "Did you use witchcraft on these men?" the king demanded. "No, your majesty," Amake said innocently. "I didn't hold them against their will. They choose to be with me, and they can leave any time they want." The king turned to the men. "Is this true?" "We will never leave her," they all shouted together. "We love her more than life itself." The king sighed deeply.
and sent Amake home. Then he called for the village dibia, the native doctor who could see the truth of things. The dibia performed his rituals, threw his cowries, and consulted the spirits. When he was done, he looked at everyone with sad eyes. The spirits say that Amake made a deal with the Iroko tree because of how cruelly you all treated her. This curse is your own fault. The people looked at each other in shame. They remembered all the times they had laughed at her, insulted her, and treated her like garbage. The entire village went to Amake's house and fell on their knees. "We are so sorry," they cried. "We were wicked and cruel. Please forgive us." Amake looked at their tears and saw that they were truly sorry. Not just sorry that their husbands were gone, but sorry for how they had treated her all those years. "I forgive you," she said softly. That night, she went back to the Iroko tree. "Please reverse the curse," she begged. "If I do," the tree warned, "you will lose your beauty. You will go back to the way you were before." Amake thought about this for a long moment. She thought about her beautiful face, her perfect body, and all the attention she had received. Then she thought about the village, the wives crying for their husbands, and the children who missed their fathers. "Do it," she said firmly. "Take my beauty away." By morning, Amake had returned to her old self, plain, simple, and not beautiful by anyone's standards. But something amazing happened. The villagers didn't laugh. They didn't insult her or run away. Instead, they brought her gifts. They thanked her. They invited her to their homes and treated her with love and respect. And Chide? Well, even though the curse was broken and his mind was his own again, he realized something important. Amake had saved the entire village. She had sacrificed her beauty for everyone else. He went to her house and asked her to marry him, not because of a curse, but because he finally saw who she really was inside. Amake said yes. They got married in a big ceremony under the mango tree, the same tree where she had been humiliated, and they had 3 beautiful children who looked nothing like their mother, but somehow that didn't matter at all. And Amake, she lived the rest of her life surrounded by people who loved her, not for her face, but for her heart.